Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government. Do you still think that jet fuel brought down the World Trade Center? Does anybody else see a problem here? If the government has nothing to hide, why are they so afraid to answer a few questions? This story does not add up.
Every time we are changes, she changes, she changes, she changes, she changes,
the government is engaged in genocidal practices or in repression or human rights abuses, then you shouldn't be helping it with its instruments of, torture or weapons or whatever.
The hawks, as far as we know, are due to be delivered starting in January 1996 at the rate of 2 every month.
It's not enough when someone is dying to just write a letter to the person who is holding the gun or whatever. In a normal situation, you wouldn't accept that as the only way you can do things.
In February '94, I watched the documentary produced by John Pilger, Death of a Nation, and that had a very large impact on me. It had a lot of footage from East Timor and interviews with Timorese people.
When the Indonesians landed here, they began an operation that has been compared in its savagery with Pol Pot's takeover of Cambodia. Hundreds of people were gunned down in the streets, in schools, in shops, in their homes, in the hospital. Live grenades were thrown into houses. Women and girls were raped in front of their families. The Indonesian troops had been told that the East Timorese were communists and primitives who threatened the very existence of Indonesia itself.
If between now and when those hawks are ready to be delivered, nothing's worked, then at that final moment, I will be prepared to disarm them.
The only thing I can do to stop this deal is to actually disarm these planes myself.
I would want to transform that plane into something positive and creative that could be put to good use.
I'm going to hammer on them with this hammer, and I hope that that will inspire other people to do further non-violent direct action against the hawk deal. I'm not a Christian myself, and many other people who have done Ploughshares actions aren't Christians, are any sort of spiritual, political or any other sort of background. So it's more taking this beautiful vision seriously and drawing inspiration from it.
On top of that, we can do that. Well, something else I was actually going to ask people is about my parents, because I don't know. I mean, we've said it's okay to tell people close to us. I just want to give them an idea that I might be away for quite a while.
And I may be in prison for some time.
And tell them all the important things. That you might be away for a long time in Her Majesty's dwelling, and that you're doing a direct action of some kind, and it's about the arms trade, etc. And you don't really need to have the specific words in places.
The fear of prison is used by the state to control us, to keep us not doing right actions that would make the world more just. And in that way, we are in prison in a way, because we aren't doing what is right. And by openly doing an action which makes us go to prison, we break this power of the state.
defendants will be using it.
I first heard about the action when I got a phone call from NG Zelta at 4 o'clock in the morning on the 29th of January saying, I've just had a phone call from Lotta and Andrea and Joe saying that they've just disarmed this Hawk warplane and asked us if we would do the support work and help with media.
Yes, I've got a crane to hang on the fence when I cut in to get in. It's a police crane. I've got a hammer to hammer the aircraft. I've got my police statement, which is done by video, which is probably the first time that that's been done as a police statement, with the 4 of us on. I've got a booklet which explains the issues behind the Ploughshares action and what Indonesia's up to in East Timor. And I've got a banner which says "Stop Genocide in East Timor." Oh, and I've got a visiting card, which I shall leave in the plane.
Dear women, is it not just incredibly good that we actually got in and disarmed the apple green sweet death machine?
Sometimes I forget there was an action in between thinking about prison and being in prison, but it did happen. I miss you, my sisters, my movement, my co-hopers and resistors. When my sister was here, it came home to me that there is an end to it. I will be out one day, and I felt like laughing into the face of prison and British airspace and whoever else wants me in here.
By leaving the video in the cockpit of the Hawk and by referring to it in their police statements, the women made sure that it would be used as evidence in court and shown to the jury.
We, the undersigned, indict British Aerospace and the British government that on the 10th day of June 1993 they conspired to breach the Genocide Act and the Offences Against the Person Act by agreeing to the sale of 24 Hawk attack aircraft to Indonesia, in the knowledge that the Hawks will be used by the Indonesian military to commit murder and to further the campaign of genocide against the people of East Timor.
And there is no doubt in my mind that there is nothing that a Hawk aircraft can do to suppress the people in East Timor. It is not an aircraft that is suitable for that purpose, and we have guarantees from the Indonesians that they would not be used for internal suppression.
The Hawk can also be a frontline airplane, especially with the help of forward-looking infrared radar and night vision goggles for the pilot. Add to that a laser rangefinder for weapons delivery, radar warning, and flare and chaff dispensers for self-defense, and you have a frontline airplane, not just a trainer.
What is the reason? What is the reason? Who is the guilty one? Who is really the...
Anyone who'd been in the court to listen to the women putting their case and defending themselves and being cross-examined, it's the composure and the sincerity that they put into it, which can only be reckoned by knowing that they are prepared to do this and be apart away from their families for such a long time if need be. And I don't think anybody can ask of more commitment than that.
When we've come to court each morning, there have been silent and dignified ceremonies of different kinds. We've had silence for the people. We've called out their names when other people have refused to acknowledge their deaths and made them present.
Darta de Silva.
Presente.
Isabel.
Presente.
Agapito de Deus.
Presente.
Domingo Fedara.
Presente.
Jose Cotto.
Presente.
Gutierrez.
Presente.
What is the reason? What is the reason?
my own family, relatives were killed by Western weapons, so they cannot tell me that Western aircraft, Hawk aircraft sold to Indonesia are not used in East Timor.
On any of the charges, it's not guilty.
It was a day for justice and a day for East Timor.
When the foreman stood up, I was thinking, well, I prepared myself for several years in jail, and here it comes, and that's okay, because what we did was right. But then when he said, not guilty, and there was this huge gasp around the courtroom, and there was justice. I mean, justice, I think, is not that often done in British courts, and on this occasion it was, and it's tremendous.
We are changers, and everything we touch is change.
I wanted to try and create a tradition, a women's ploughshares tradition, so that partly to support each other, because it's the same is true for us, that we don't feel maybe that we can do it, but also for people who come after us to see, yeah, we can do it too.
Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm Darren McBreen. Today is Thursday, April 17th, 2014. And here's a quick look at what's coming up.
Tonight, the New York SAFE Act is met with mass civil disobedience from gun owners. And original Black Panther Larry Pinckney exposes the truth about Al Sharpton.
The public is manipulated, and people like Al Sharpton, opportunists, blood-sucking opportunists, are the ones who do it.
Good people are going to crush you! Intellectually, it's begun, you can feel it!
The gun control law, known as the SAFE Act in New York, is quickly becoming a total and utter failure, as there is now massive civil disobedience opposing the law. Well, never saw that one coming. The state of New York is refusing to say just how many gun owners complied with the mandate to register their so-called assault weapons under the SAFE Act. Yeah, the SAFE Act, there's an Orwellian title for you. And there is a sheriff out there who says he will not enforce the measure, suggesting that just like a similar law in Connecticut, the gun control effort has been a total failure, as more and more Americans engage in mass civil disobedience against curbs on the Second Amendment. And good for them. Apparently, owners of the assault-style weapons had until Tuesday to register their firearms under the new law. But check this out. Firearms advocates are saying that only around 10% of gun owners have actually complied. That's awesome. And I think it should be interesting to see how officials plan on enforcing this law. I think it's going to be very, very difficult. But we'll definitely keep you posted on the progress of the so-called SAFE Act out there in New York. Meanwhile, former Mayor Bloomberg has just announced a brand new $50 million gun control campaign that is supposed to target what he calls illegal guns, as well as educate the public on just how dangerous guns are. Wait a minute. Do I hear Eric Holder?
One thing that I think is clear with young people and with adults as well is that we just have to be repetitive about this. It's not enough to simply have a catchy ad on a Monday and then only do it every Monday. We need to do this every day of the week and just really brainwash people into thinking about guns in a vastly different way.
Mm-hmm. And here's what Bloomberg had to say yesterday on NBC's Today Show.
This is not a battle of dollars. This is a battle for the hearts and minds of America so that we can protect our children, protect innocent people.
So the individual right to self-defense under the Second Amendment is being attacked on all fronts, and that includes more Gestapo-like behavior from the ATF, as they are actually targeting gun shops for their customer purchasing records. If you can believe that, and you may recall last month, we reported that the ATF raided a California gun parts store for its customer data. Well, now the agency is trying to force a gun owner in Maine to shut down his entire business because they had the nerve, the audacity to defy the ATF and reject their demand to hand over his customer records. They actually wanted to scan every single page of the Pack and Arms customer database located in Sanford, Maine. And don't think for a moment that the ATF just walks into these gun shops and approaches these gun owners all polite like, hey, sorry guys, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but if it's not too much to ask, we're wondering if we might be able to, I don't know, maybe have access and make copies of your customers' purchasing records. No, that's not how it goes down at all. They go in there like gangbusters. A typical raid fashion. They go in there with guns drawn during normal business hours, and this is more Gestapo-like intimidation tactics in the new America. And you can bet that this trend is likely to continue and escalate, even though collecting customers' buying records is totally illegal. Well, at least for now anyway. Of course, they're trying to pass laws that will change all that. But for now, they just come up with various excuses to see the data sheets. In this case, the owner was blamed for selling a gun to a guy who may have given it to a convicted felon. They call it making straw sales, and they want to revoke his gun dealer's license without a hearing, I might add. Celebrate the spirit of freedom and liberty upon which our nation was founded at InfoWarsShop.com. Molon Lave is ancient Greek for come and take it. This popular design combines both classic Greek Spartan imagery with modern M16 assault rifles. Now available in women's tees and proudly made in the USA. Celebrate the spirit of 1776 with the George Washington brass belt buckle or this incredibly sharp-looking 1776 hat. Badass. And be sure to check out the new arrivals at InfoWars Life, where you can prepare your body to perform at peak levels with Survival Shield Nascent Iodine, Super Male Vitality, and Fluoride Shield. And wake up, America. Immune Support Blend is the healthy choice for the gourmet coffee lover. So get incredibly high-quality, freedom-based products and help fund the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
Gentlemen, we have called you together to inform you that we are going to overthrow the United States government.